My friends, you know, one of the most liberating truths you'll ever discover is this: you are your first and final competitor. It's where it all begins. You can spend your entire life measuring yourself against other people, their looks, their money, their titles, their followers, but none of that will ever give you peace. You could be doing better than 1,000 people around you, but if you're not doing better than you, then deep down, it won't feel like progress. It'll feel hollow. You know why? Because at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself. You have to look yourself in the mirror, and if you haven't given your best, if you haven't pushed your own limits, you'll know it. And that knowing, that quiet disappointment, it'll follow you no matter how much noise the world is making in your favor. You see, it's easy to chase applause. It's easy to get caught up trying to win at life by someone else's scoreboard. But the real game, the only one that matters, is the one you're playing against the person you were yesterday, that version of you who settled, who made excuses, who said maybe tomorrow. That's the opponent. And here's the thing: you don't beat that version of you with words. You beat them with action, with consistency, with commitment to growth. There's nothing more powerful than making quiet progress that no one sees but you. Waking up a little earlier, pushing through when no one's watching, holding yourself accountable when it'd be easier to let it slide. That's proving yourself to yourself. That's how you build real self-respect. Because listen, external success can feel good for a moment, but internal pride, that lasts. That's what you carry with you into every room, every challenge, every season of life. Now, I'm not saying don't learn from others. I'm not saying don't be inspired, but inspiration should lead to internal competition, not external comparison. If someone else's success makes you feel less than, you're missing the point. Let it light a fire, not cast a shadow. Say, if they can do it, I can do it too, and then go out there and give it your all. Not to beat them, but to become a stronger version of you. And I'll tell you something else. Once you start living this way, something shifts. You stop making excuses. You stop blaming the world. You stop waiting for perfect conditions, because you realize it's not about proving the world wrong. It's not even about proving the doubters wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you've got what it takes, that you can show up, that you can rise up, that when it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when it's uncomfortable, you don't run, you don't hide, you step up. And when you do that, day after day, your confidence doesn't come from hype, it comes from history. A personal history of keeping your word, honoring your effort, and earning your own respect. I've seen people chase titles, chase wealth, chase recognition, and still feel lost. You know why? Because they were trying to outdo everyone except themselves. And here's the truth: if the best version of you is still sitting inside you waiting to be activated, no amount of outside success is going to fill that gap. No trophy, no applause, no approval can do that work for you. Only you can, and you do it by competing with your own limits, your own comfort, your own distractions. So if you want to win, don't look out the window, look in the mirror. That's where the real game is. That's where greatness is born. You won't always get it right. You'll slip, you'll fail, you'll take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But if you're still showing up, still pushing forward, still trying, then you're winning. Because most people give up on themselves long before they ever give themselves a real shot. But not you, not anymore, because now you know it's not about proving anything to anyone else. It's about proving yourself to yourself. Your worth isn't measured by validation. That's a hard truth to accept sometimes, but once you do, life starts to look a whole lot different. See, we grow up in a world that teaches us to chase approval. Gold stars, applause, likes, followers, status. It's all baked into the system. And before we even realize it, we start tying our self-worth to other people's reactions. If they clap, we feel good. If they don't notice, we question ourselves. But here's the problem. When your value depends on someone else's validation, you're handing over the keys to your confidence. And I'll tell you something, people are fickle. Today they love you, tomorrow they forget you. They cheer when you succeed, sometimes they disappear when you struggle. If your sense of self is built on that kind of shaky foundation, you'll never feel grounded. You'll always be wondering, am I enough? But when you decide that you don't need permission to believe in yourself, that you don't need a crowd to feel proud, that's when things start to shift. It's not about ego, it's about ownership. Owning your effort, owning your progress, owning the fact that you're showing up for you, not for the praise, not for the spotlight, just because you made a commitment to become more. When you start living from that place, you stop performing, you stop pretending, you stop editing yourself just to fit someone else's mold. And that's when you finally start becoming who you really are. Now, don't get me wrong, recognition feels good, encouragement matters, but it should be a bonus, not the fuel. The real fuel has to come from within, from knowing that you're doing what you said you'd do, that you're putting in the work when nobody's watching, that you're choosing growth even when it's uncomfortable. That's where confidence is born, quietly, slowly, but solid as a rock. Because listen, when you need applause to feel good, you'll always be waiting. But when you know you're doing the right thing, you don't need to be told. You can feel it, you carry it with you. It's in the way you stand, the way you speak, the way you walk into a room, that quiet confidence. That's what comes when you've proven to yourself that you're enough. And I'll tell you something else. You don't have to announce every step of your journey. You don't need to prove your progress to anyone but you. You know the truth. You know how far you've come, how much you've grown, what it took to get here. So hold on to that. Let your life speak for itself. Let your results be the evidence. You don't need to convince anybody when you're already convinced deep down. Sometimes people won't see the work you're doing. They won't understand your vision. They'll underestimate your potential, and that's okay. That's not your job to fix. Your job is to keep becoming, to keep building, to keep showing up for yourself every single day, because the people who really matter, the ones who are meant to walk this journey with you, they'll see it. They'll feel it. But most importantly, you will know it. You see, this is the part of the journey where a lot of people give up because it's quiet, because it's lonely, because the crowd isn't clapping yet. But that's the test. That's where strength is built. When you can keep going without a cheer, when you can stay consistent without applause, that's when you know you've got something real. That's when you start becoming unshakable. And don't be surprised if people don't celebrate you right away. That's not a sign to stop. That's a sign to dig deeper. Keep planting, keep watering, because one day they'll see the harvest. One day they'll look at your life and wonder how you did it, and the answer will be simple. You stopped waiting for validation and you started walking in your own power. That's how you win. That's how you rise. That's how you build a life that doesn't need to be approved because it's already aligned. You don't need applause to know your value. The voice in your head that says you can't, that voice is lying to you. It sounds convincing, doesn't it? Sounds like it's just trying to protect you, keep you safe, keep you from failing. But that voice, it's built on fear, not truth. And if you listen to it long enough, it starts to sound like fact. But I'll tell you what cuts through doubt every time: discipline. You can't wait for motivation to carry you. Motivation's nice when it shows up, but it's not dependable. It comes and goes like the weather. One day you're fired up, ready to take on the world. The next day you're dragging your feet, making excuses, thinking maybe you'll try again tomorrow. You can't build a strong life on something so shaky. What you need is something solid, something that shows up whether you feel like it or not. That's what discipline does. Discipline says, I made a promise to myself, and I'm going to keep it, not because it's convenient, not because I'm in the mood, but because I've decided to honor my word. And when you live like that, when you choose discipline over doubt, something incredible starts to happen. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to build a kind of confidence that doesn't depend on how you feel or what's going on around you. It comes from within, from that consistent effort, from showing up again and again and again, even when it's hard. You see, discipline is a decision. It's not about being perfect. It's not about getting it right every time. It's about showing up anyway. It's about doing the small things, the boring things, the unglamorous things, day after day, because they move you closer to where you want to be. And that's the part most people skip. They think if they're not feeling it, they shouldn't do it. But that's not how greatness works. Greatness isn't built on emotion, it's built on commitment. There are days you're not going to feel like getting up early. There are days you'll want to skip the workout, slack off on your goals. Delay that next step. And in those moments, doubt creeps in. Does this even matter? Who am I to think I can do this? Maybe I'm just not cut out for it. We've all heard that voice. But discipline doesn't listen to that voice. Discipline keeps moving forward even when the voice gets loud. And every time you choose discipline, every time you do the thing you said you'd do, even when it's uncomfortable, you weaken doubt's grip on your life. You teach yourself, I am not controlled by fear. I am not ruled by hesitation. I follow through. That right there, that's power. That's freedom. Because once you learn that you can rely on yourself, once you prove to yourself that you're capable of consistency, it opens the door to everything else. You don't need to know all the answers. You don't need to feel 100% confident. You just need to keep showing up. Let me tell you something. Success isn't found in big, dramatic leaps. It's found in the daily decisions, the quiet choices, the times you stay disciplined when no one's watching. That's where the breakthrough is, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard. That's where character is built. That's where transformation begins. And it's not just about achieving goals, it's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't quit on themselves. That's the real win. Because once you've got that, you can handle anything. Life throws a storm your way, you're still standing. Things don't go as planned, you adjust, but you don't stop. Because discipline has taught you how to keep going, how to endure, how to rise again. And here's what's beautiful about discipline. It's available to anyone. You don't need special talent. You don't need a perfect background. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to decide, I'm going to do the work. That's it. One decision, and then another and another. Stack enough of those together, and you won't just be proving something to the world, you'll be proving something far more important to yourself. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. You don't have to announce everything you're building. You don't need to tell the world what you're working on. Just let the work speak. That's the real proof. Not the talk, not the hype, not the social media post. The results. And results come from consistency, from effort, from doing the right thing when no one's clapping for you. See, we live in a world where everyone wants to be seen. They want to show the highlight reel, the progress, the wins. But most of the work that matters, the work that really changes you, happens in the dark. It happens in the quiet hours when no one is around. It happens when you choose to stay focused, stay disciplined, stay aligned with the version of you you're trying to become. That's where the shift happens. Not when you're showing it off, but when you're locked in with your purpose and nobody even knows what you're up to. You want to know how you build something meaningful? You stay low and keep building. You stay quiet and keep improving. You let your growth surprise people. Let your consistency shock them. Don't worry about who's watching. Worry about whether you are watching, whether you can look at yourself and say, I did what I said I would do. That's the voice that matters. You don't need the world to understand what you're building. Sometimes they won't get it. Sometimes they'll overlook you. Sometimes they'll even doubt you. But that's okay. That's not your job to fix. Your job is to put your head down and do the work. Let the results speak for themselves. You don't need to yell when your results whisper loud enough. And I'll tell you this, when you stay quiet and work with intention, there's a different kind of confidence that starts to grow. It's not arrogance. It's not showmanship. It's a deep, steady belief in yourself. A belief that's been earned. Because when you put in the reps, when you stay consistent, when you stop chasing applause and start chasing excellence, you don't need the recognition. You already know who you are. People might not notice you today. They might not see the effort. They might not hear about the grind, but they will see the results. Eventually, they'll look at what you've built and wonder how you did it, and the answer will be simple. You put in the work when no one was looking. You trained in silence. You worked through the doubt. You built in the dark. And when the time was right, your work spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. But here's the truth, even if they never notice, even if the spotlight never lands on you, it's still worth it. Because the real reward isn't in being seen. The real reward is in becoming someone you're proud of, someone who doesn't cut corners, someone who doesn't need validation to keep going, someone who honors the process. See, when you're truly committed to your growth, you stop needing to prove anything to anyone else. That burden falls away. You're no longer trying to impress, you're just trying to improve. And improvement doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's frustrating, sometimes it's invisible to everyone but you. But that's okay. That's how you know it's real. I've always believed this. You don't have to talk about the seed, just water it. Just keep showing up, keep doing the work. Keep trusting the process, and in time the tree will grow, the fruit will show, and you won't have to say a word, because the results will speak louder than anything you could have posted, shouted, or announced. And when the moment comes, when people finally see what you've built, what you've become, they'll think it happened overnight. They'll say you're lucky. They'll wonder how you did it, but you'll know the truth. You'll know it came from quiet mornings, long nights, and a decision to keep going when no one was watching. And you won't need to explain it. You'll just smile and keep building, because you're not in it for the noise. You're in it for the growth. Let your progress make the noise. Every one of us faces those moments. The ones where you look in the mirror and start to question everything. You wonder if you're on the right path, if you're good enough, strong enough. Those aren't just low points, those are mirror moments. And I call them that because they show you who you are right now and who you have the potential to become. But here's the thing most people miss. Those moments aren't meant to break you, they're meant to build you. They don't show up to expose weakness, they show up to reveal opportunity. Opportunity to grow, to stretch, to rise. Now, I know it's tempting to turn away when the reflection isn't what you want to see. It's easy to say, that's not me, or I'll look again when I've got it all together. But that's not how growth works. Growth doesn't happen when everything's comfortable. It doesn't happen when everything's working in your favor. It happens when you choose to lean in, even when the reflection is hard to face. It happens when you take responsibility for what you see and you decide, not wish, decide that you're going to become better. You don't grow by avoiding discomfort. You grow by walking right into it. You grow by staring at that mirror moment and saying, okay, let's be honest. Where am I falling short? What needs to change? What am I avoiding? That's not self-criticism. That's self-awareness. And self-awareness is the foundation of transformation, because you can't change what you refuse to acknowledge. You can't rise if you keep pretending you're already standing tall. Some people run from the mirror, they distract themselves, blame others, hide behind excuses, but the ones who rise, they stand still. They breathe. They face it. And when you do that, when you stop running and start reflecting, something shifts. You stop fearing failure and start using it. You stop avoiding challenges and start welcoming them. Because you realize every struggle, every setback, every uncomfortable truth is actually showing you where to build. That's the beauty of it. The hard moments aren't the enemy, they're the invitation. They say, this is where your next level is. This is where your character grows. This is where your confidence is born. And every time you lean in instead of backing out, you gain a little more strength, a little more clarity, a little more belief in yourself, not because someone else told you you're good enough, but because you proved it to yourself right there in the fire. You start to realize that growth isn't just about adding new things. Sometimes it's about shedding the things that no longer serve you, the habits, the thoughts, the excuses, the old version of you that kept you small. And you only get to that point, that level of clarity, when you stop numbing, stop hiding, and get real with yourself. It's a powerful thing when you can look in the mirror and say, I've got work to do. And not feel shame, but ownership. Not guilt, but drive. That's when you know you've made the shift. That's when life starts moving differently for you, not because the world changed, but because you did. Because you had the courage to confront the parts of you that needed work, and you chose to rise anyway. And don't think this is a one-time deal. Those mirror moments, they keep coming. Every new level, every new goal, every season of growth brings a new reflection, and that's a good thing. That means you're still evolving, still pushing, still becoming. Because the truth is, this journey of proving yourself to yourself, it doesn't end. It just deepens. And with each reflection, you get closer to the version of you that you've always known was in there. The one with strength, the one with grit, the one with vision. Not perfect, not without flaws, but authentic, grounded, growing. So the next time life puts that mirror in front of you, don't turn away, don't shrink, don't pretend, just look, really look, and then ask yourself, what does this version of me need to let go of, and what does the next version need me to step into? And when you answer that honestly and follow through, that's when the real transformation begins. Lean into the mirror moments. You know, people often wait for some big moment to feel proud of themselves, a promotion, a trophy, a big milestone. But I'll tell you something that took me a long time to learn. The real win is becoming someone you respect. Not the applause, not the status, not the recognition. Just being able to look at yourself at the end of the day and say, I showed up, I did what I said I'd do, I honored my word. That's what it's about. Earning your own respect. Because if you don't respect yourself, it doesn't matter who else does, you'll always feel like something's missing. You'll chase approval, you'll crave validation, but it won't stick because deep down, you'll know you've cut corners. You'll know you didn't give your best, and that kind of truth, you can't run from it. You can distract yourself, sure. You can dress it up, justify it, even bury it under achievements, but when the lights go out and it's just you and your thoughts, that voice speaks up. And it's honest. The good news is you can earn your own respect every single day. You don't have to wait for a title. You don't have to wait for someone to notice you. All it takes is consistency, integrity, small choices, showing up when it's easier to quit, telling the truth when it's easier to hide, choosing growth when comfort calls your name. That's what builds self-respect. Doing the hard thing because it's the right thing. And here's the powerful part. When you respect yourself, everything changes. Your standards rise. Your habits shift. You stop tolerating things that don't serve your future. You don't chase people or beg for validation because you've already got it from the one person who matters most. You carry yourself differently when you know you've done the work. When you know your effort is honest, your discipline is real, and your growth is earned. Not borrowed, not faked, but earned. That's the foundation you build your life on. Not what they say about you, but what you say about you. And don't misunderstand me. This isn't about being hard on yourself. It's not about perfection. It's not about never falling down. No, it's about how you respond when you do. Do you own it? Do you learn from it? Do you get back up stronger? That's where self-respect grows, in those decisions, in the recovery, in the resilience. And you don't need to compare your journey to anyone else's to know where you stand. That's a trap, comparing your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20. Their pace isn't your pace, their path. But if you can look at yourself today and honestly say, I'm a little more disciplined than I was yesterday, a little more focused, a little more honest, that's what matters. That's movement. That's progress. And that earns your respect. Every choice you make is a vote for the person you want to become. Every early morning, every late night, every moment you choose purpose over pleasure, that's a vote. And over time, those votes stack up. They form a pattern. They form a reputation, not just in the world, but in your soul. That's what self-respect is built on. Not the occasional grand gesture, but the daily quiet decision to be excellent even when no one's watching. People often ask, how do I build confidence? And the answer again and again is this. Keep your promises to yourself. Start small. Make one promise. Keep it. Then make another. Keep that one too. And slowly, brick by brick, you build a foundation so strong nothing can shake it because you know you can count on you. And you'll start to notice something. The more you respect yourself, the less you settle. You start choosing better. You treat yourself better. You speak differently. You walk into a room differently. Not with arrogance, with certainty, because you've earned it. You don't need to prove it. You're living it. That's what this whole thing is about. Not fame, not followers, not fancy titles. Just becoming someone who doesn't flinch in the mirror. Someone who doesn't need external approval to feel whole. Someone who knows deep in their bones, I am who I say I am. Earn your own respect, and everything else starts to fall into place.